Hello and welcome, student. Before we start solving previous tests and exams, I would like to make this important disclaimer. The following will be just a practice exam, and it's only intended for revision purposes only. So it has nothing to do with your actual exam. It is not a model for your exam. It's just for you to revise, to test yourself, to practice more, keep yourself with a timer, be in the exam environment. You shouldn't assume the actual exam will be identical to this one. It's also crucial before you start viewing this review is that you complete all the homework problems, look at the lecture notes, and watch the previous video to ensure a thorough preparation for the exam. This is only a practice exam. It's just for revision. It will not help you understand the material. You need to do the homework, lecture notes, watch the videos before you come and see this exam. Here we have a previous test one from summer 2022-23, which consists of many multiple choice questions as well as some written questions. So let's see question by question and how we solve them. So for the first question it's a written question. So we need to show all the steps. In order to receive the full credit, we have to show all the step by step. So for a certain manufacturer, the revenue obtained from the sale of a Q units of a product is given by this formula. So I have the revenue given here. I need to find the rate of change of R with respect to Q when Q is equal to 5. So to tackle this question, the first thing to remember is what is the rate of change? There is another word for the rate of change, and if you call rate of change, there is another word of it, we call it derivative. So all what we need to do in this question is we need to find the derivative, and then we need to find the derivative at Q equal to 5. So we need to find R prime, and in order to find R prime, we have Q squared. Now remember, if we have the derivative of Q squared, this means this 2 will go down, so it will be 2Q, and then we subtract 1, so it will be 2Q to the power of 1, but because there is a 3, we will get 6Q minus the derivative of a Q is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2, and the derivative of 47 just will go away. So we get this one. What we need to do next is we need to substitute the number that is given to me. So I'm having here Q equal to 5. So all what you need to do is you substitute, and instead of every Q you can see, you just substitute 5. So the final answer will be 28, and that will be $28 per unit. It has a meaning, which means if we sell one more item after the 5, so if we sell one more item or one more unit after selling 5 units, which means if my Q change from 5 to 6, okay, that's what actually means. If I do it from 5 to 6, what we will get in that way, we will get the revenue will go up, goes up by $28. And that's what we will get from the derivative. So this is the first question, is the rate of change, which is another word for the derivative, and that's what the derivative all means. Next question is a usual question where we need to find the derivative, but this time we need to use the definition of the derivative. Now, definition of the derivative, it's very simple, which means we need to use the limit. So we need to evaluate the limit as h goes to 0, f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h, which means what is f of x plus h? Every x you see here, you write x plus h in its place. So we will get every x, I'll replace it by x plus h. X plus h. Minus f of x itself, which is just we need to write it down exactly as is. So f of x will go down as is, Now, f of x plus h means I write the same function, but I replace every x by x plus h. Of course, this will be divided by h. Now we need only to simplify this one. So again, we have a formula for, if you remember this formula, if we have a plus b squared, this formula, we'll use it here, it says that we take the first one squared, 2 times the first plus b squared. That's the formula. So if we apply it for a equal to x, b equal to h, what we will get is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus, now the 5 will be distributed here for both of them, so we get 5x plus 5h minus, we do the same, we take the minus inside the brackets, so we get minus x squared minus 5x divided by h. Now, of course, there are so many simplifications. We can subtract things. I can cancel x squared with x squared, 5x with 5x. So what I get remaining is the following. 2xh from the beginning plus h squared plus 5h. Now for this, we need to take h as common factor. h, 1h, h. So if we do that, if we take h common factor, what's remaining is 2x plus h plus 5 divided by h. We cancel h with h, so we end up with a very simple limit, which is 2x plus h plus 5. If we substitute 0, the final answer is 2x plus 5. And that's the derivative for this function using the definition of the derivative. That is the written part of this test. Let's go to the multiple choice part. Now for multiple choice, there are 6 multiple choice. We need to deal with them. Now the first one, let me just try to solve it. If you remember, we solve it using the factoring. So the first step, we do direct substitution. Now if we do direct substitution, we will get 0 over 0. You can try it by yourself by the calculator, but that's what you will get. So the idea is we need to factor the numerator. We factor the denominator. How do we factor the numerator? We use mod 5(6) in your calculator, or mod 5(3), sorry, in your calculator, or you can use the quadratic formula. How we will use that? We write xx, and now in your calculator, try mod 5(3). You will be asked for 3 numbers, a, b, and c. Now, the number a will be the number of x in the front of x squared. The number b will be the number in front of x, and the number c will be the number that is alone. So if we do that, and everything is correct, so we get one of them plus, one of them is minus, we get 2 and 1. Similarly, if we do the same thing for the denominator, we will get x minus 2 and x plus 5. That's what we get from the mod 5(3), the quadratic formula. And now there are cancellation, x negative 2, x negative 2. So the answer will be limit x plus 1, x plus 5. Now if you substitute 2, you get 3 over 7. And that's the answer. 3 over 7, that's what we get as an answer. Now, which one is the right answer? Is the first one, so we just need to sheet this number here. Question 2. What is the derivative of 4x? The answer is very simple. It's just 4. Remember, derivative of x is 1. Derivative of 4 will stay because it's with x. Let's go to the next question. We have the average cost is given by this formula. We need to find the marginal. Remember, marginal is another word for the derivative. So we need to find the marginal cost, which means we need to find c prime. I don't have c, I have c bar. Now what's c bar? If you remember, C bar is just equal to C divided by Q, which means if we take Q to the other side, C equal Q times C bar. So C equal Q. Now what is C bar? C bar is 0.02 Q plus 1.5 plus 10 over Q. Now if we distribute this one here, this one here, this one here, we get 0.02 Q squared plus 1.5 Q plus 10. That is C. We don't want C. Remember, we want C prime, the derivative, which means derivative of a Q squared will be 2Q. So we multiply 2 by 0.02. This will give me 0.04 Q plus 1.5 plus 0. Now, which answer is correspond to this one? It will be P, which is this one. So that's the answer. Next, oh, look at this function. This function, if you notice, y equal ln 3 power 3, this is a constant. What do we mean by constant? It has no x. So what's the derivative of a constant? It's directly, without even doing anything, equal to 0. So question number 4 is straightforward. Just be careful with it. Question 5, we have e to the power of something. So what is the derivative? If you remember, the derivative will be e. The derivative of e is e, and this is the inner. So we write the inner without changing the inner. And now we need to multiply by the derivative of the inner. What is the derivative of something squared? It will be 2 times 5x plus 1. And then, again, we have another inner. We need to find the derivative of that inner, which is just 5. So all in all, the answer will be 2 times 5 is 10. 5x plus 1, the bracket, and the e. And which answers correspond to this one is the only answer that has 10 is this one. So we get question number 5. Remember, I'm using the chain rule. Derivative of the outer, keep the inner. After you finish, take the outer again, derivative of the outer, keep the inner. And then finally, take the derivative of the inner, which is 5. Finally, we have this question here, which we need to use the product rule and the chain rule. Why do we need the product rule? Because we have two functions. The product rule says derivative of first times the second. This is the second. Plus the first times derivative of the second. Now what's the derivative of the first is 4x cubed. What is the derivative of the second? Remember, something to the power of 10, the 10 will go down and we subtract 1. So we will get 10 power 9. Now the inner will be the same. Don't change the inner. And then find the derivative of the inner, which is just 2. Remember, the last step you need to substitute 1. So take your calculator and substitute 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and find the answer. If we substitute 1, this would be 1. So we'll get 4 here. Plus, if we substitute 1, this will be just 20. So the final answer is 24, which corresponds to the answer in part A. And that's all the questions for the test 1 for this exam. Consists of 4 pages. Remember to read the number of pages. Make sure you solve all the questions. And please make sure you shade the answers here. So you have to shade the answers. So please don't forget to shade your final answers in those questions.